Welcome to Pinball Mayhem. My name's Jeremy, and today we're going to be investigating playing an LP record on something that's made by the Seeburg jukebox company of all things. And it's right behind me. I'm going to swivel out of the way and we will check it out. What we got here, besides my cool electrophonic chroma sound speakers, which definitely fit the part from the 70s here with the stereo setup that I got, is we got this unit down here. This is called a Seeburg AP1, which is album player, and believe it or not, it actually plays full-size LP records. We're going to open her up here. I'm going to grab the camera and we'll switch to a closer look, and I'll keep explaining it. Here we go. What you're looking at, like I mentioned before, is the Seeburg brand AP1, Album Player 1. And what this does is it plays and holds 50 full-size LP records. What's really cool about this is this was designed originally. The main product of the line is a home stereo console, something that's really big, really high-end. I mean, this is high-quality stuff here, even just this cabinet. And that's just a basic cabinet that holds it. But the Seeburg HSC home stereo console was just a big deal, very high-end, expensive unit that had one of these in the center. And along with designing this, they designed the separate component here, which is the AP1. You could also buy it as just a wall mount deal, whereas this center part comes out and you could build it into the wall. The main advantage of that was you would use it in a professional setting, like a doctor's office or something. You could imagine this being in a doctor's office and just having music playing all the time, or a dentist or something like that, or maybe a factory or something. So besides being a high-end player, and there's a little bit of history about it, I'll show you this and the differences with this. It's got some modifications. Somebody drilled a hole right here and put a volume control, just a big ugly square hole when I got it. And so what I did is I just made a little panel and I put a pilot light in there so I could tell when it's on, because normally there are no lights in this. I also put a couple pilot lights down below there to shine, and so I could see what record was going on. I've got the volume turned on all the way just for YouTube here, and we'll put in number 50. And what's cool about the selection mechanism here is it uses a telephone dial. This is a modified dial that gives one extra pulse. Why did they use a telephone dial? I'll probably do another video on it, but the way that the jukebox was controlled was a series of pulses. Like you had a console at the table at a diner, and you'd punch in your selection G5, and an internal mechanism that was very much like a dial, rotary dial here, would send pulses to the jukebox. And that's the same technology they use here. It's a stepper. So we got number 50 here. Now you can see the mechanism down below there selecting the record, and it sucks it back in and it starts playing it. We're going to spin this thing around and we'll take a look at the back, but we'll get a little closer look at the control console here. Here is the control panel, and what's great about this, especially because it uses the pulses and whatnot, there's not a continuous signal going to it. You can have any number of these in a house, and that was another thing. They offered a kit with this that would sit on a desk, and you could have one in each room. On off, pretty straightforward. Reject, that's pretty straightforward. Clear is with the next one, all play. So all play would play all the records in a row. Clear would release all the selections that you had, or if you dialed up like 3 and you only wanted to play 1 after it was playing, you could hit the clear and clear them all out. That's one of the great things about this system. It's very versatile. Alright, enough about that. Let's spin it around and see how it works. Alrighty, here we are at the back of the unit. Normally there would be a trim panel on here, but that will not fit on this one because somebody's replaced the bottom of this unit. Hey, I can't complain. I got this unit for free. And if you pay attention and you let people know what you're looking for, you'll probably get one of these for free too, because to a person who doesn't really know what they are or what they can be, they're just boat anchors, which is sad, but yeah, it's okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is the back panel here. What we got is we got a switched power, which is nice for an amplifier or something. And then these are all the controls. These are all the screw terminals if you wanted to hook up another remote control. Like I said, you can hook up a number of remote controls because you don't need a constant current to any one control. What we got back here is what they call the control center or a power supply or whatnot. It's got the steppers in it that make the selections, and it's kind of not really the brains of the operation, but it controls everything, I guess you could say. We'll just set the camera down here. Of course, we got the record rack here, and this is the main head that moves back and forth, the main mechanism. We've got we'll zoom in a little bit here. What we've got here is the Seeburg magnetic cartridge that they used for many, many years, which is a really great unit. It's got replaceable tips in it, and usually you don't have to change these, you just clean them, because records don't really wear them down. Some other interesting features on here is we've got a preamplifier that rides along on here. Why did they do that? Well, they wanted to get the signal boosted so it wouldn't be interfered with. Since it's got to go all the way up and around, they really thought this thing out. It was really a good quality unit. It's not some cheap thing that they just kind of threw together. Get another side view of the mechanism here. I'm just going to walk around and make a quick selection, and you'll see it in action. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool how this thing works. Grabs the record in the center. Nothing touches the side of the record except for the needle. And the record is lifted or rolled up a ramp by an arm that grabs the record just on the very edge. We're just going to carefully move the tone arm to reject position here. And then the mechanism is going to scan for any other records. It's actually checking its memory to see if there's any selections. And it does 2 passes on this. Get a view of this here. We've got a belt drive for the turntable, so the motor is isolated. This unit uses 2 motors in it, really nice big motors. I'm going to start the selection process again just to get it going, and then we'll stop it here. Okay, we just shut off the power there to it. Move my light around. We'll just take a little closer look at it. Pull off this nice decorative panel here. Now you can see most of the guts. I would say all the guts, but you really can't see all of them. There's a lot in here. So what we've got is we've got 1 motor here, and that deals just with the turntable drive. We have a nice heavy flywheel here so you don't get any rumbling or vibrations or whatnot. It's a really heavy cast piece. And then because this mechanism is large, they added a second motor for just the transfer of the whole unit. And we've got some various operational switches, bridge rectifier here, another switch. So it's really quite complicated, but it works very, very well. We'll just get some more light on it and we'll zoom in here. What you can see in there is the camshaft. So they control the functions of shifting this arm over and moving the arm and loading the record, all that stuff with a camshaft, which is really amazing technology to me. It works extremely well. This unit was in such great condition. All I had to do was just tear everything down, remove the old lubricant, and clean it up, and it's been working great for me. And this, because it's got 2 needles on it, the tone arm just shifts side to side and plays how it needs to. The mechanism only picks up a record when it's traveling from right to left as you're viewing it from behind here, and the whole mechanism is on springs, as you see those big springs there. So if it gets a little bump or something, it's not going to get scratch your record or anything. And another cool thing about this is still got the goodie bag, which is just some spare fuses. But that's what you find with a lot of these. They were just put in locations and not really messed with too much. Now that we got this out of the way, we'll get you a little closer look at the control center. And then up in here is where we got the stepper technology, and on top we have plugs and whatnot, so there's not much to it. It works very well. Another thing that's interesting about this is the muting relay. So when the record is rejected, the amplifier mutes so you don't hear the noise of the electrical noise of the mechanism moving around. All right, we'll just put this cover back on here. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this look at this vintage technology, Seeburg AP1. If you get a chance to, if you're into records and whatnot, if you get a chance to buy one of these, they are really cool. Either the AP1 or the home stereo console, the HSC. And people basically just give them away because they're just kind of boat anchors. But if you know what you're doing, and the information's out there, it's not that difficult to fix. And they're built like tanks. This thing is built very, very, very well. You just got to be sure to lubricate it regularly, and you don't want those motors to burn out, because those motors are basically impossible to replace, but they're very, very well built.